Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rogue Sun podcast. This is the show where we talk about Rogue Sun, and every episode is a heater, and it just gets hotter and hotter, baby. Hellfire here every single day. I'm your host Bash, and I'm joined by my friend and host Charlie. Unfortunately, Matt couldn't make it today. He was a bit busy, and then Ali's pretty under the weather. Hopefully, he feels better. So it's just me and Charlie. We're gonna, bring you guys the best of the best that we can, and
Yes,
it's been
yes.
such a wonderful show. Sorry, comic book, because we're not actually covering Rogue Sun today. We're covering another book by Ryan Parrott, and that's Vicarious. How you doing, Charlie?
Man, yeah, I'm doing well. Had a lot of fun covering the first issue with Ali. Had some cool theories and talking through it with him. He was helped me kind of make some sense of some things, so that was good. Most of my time's just been Marvel Rivals right now after work and busy with that. Like we were talking about earlier, we got a Superman trailer coming tomorrow. Probably people listening, it will already be out, so super excited for that. Can't wait to get into this book. It's been another awesome treat from Ryan coming off Infernals and stuff. So yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm on that Marvel Rivals train too. I've been really enjoying it. I haven't I played it like a decent amount, but I haven't like played the ranked much yet. But I'm planning
Yeah,
on
me
getting into
me
that
neither.
soon.
That's a little too sweaty for
Yeah.
me right now. Who's your main? Who's your main? Real quick.
Um, I like I play all the roles. So for the DPS, I like Magic and Iron Fist and who's the other one? It really depends on the situation. So,
That's
but
fair.
those are my two favorite damage. And then for the tank, I like Doctor Strange and I like Venom, but I'm not as good as I am with him as I am with Doctor Strange, where I feel like I'm really good with. And then for the healing, I love Cloak and Dagger, and I like Jeff a lot. Like
Cool.
Jeff, yeah. What about you?
Mantis or Moon Knight for me. Either one of those two,
Yeah,
I'll take.
yeah.
Been having a
Wait,
lot of
it's
fun with
funny.
Moon Knight though.
We were talking like me and Ali because we play together, and like the Moon Knight, he was like, I was like, this guy is really weird, like his kit, and Ali was like, oh, you know that meme, like random bullshit go, and I'm like, yeah, and he's like, that's what Moon Knight is in the game. It's literally random bullshit go. And the more I think about it, I'm like, the more it's true because he just like throws shit at you, but
Oh, I
he's really
know.
fun to play. Yeah,
Yeah.
his mouse button hits so hard, like the shriek, whatever the night things that he throws, they hit
Yep.
so hard. Oh yeah, I also like Psylocke. Psylocke's another one I really like, but I'm still learning her. She's a little bit hard to play.
Lots of cool
Yeah,
characters. Yeah, no, it's a
yeah,
great game so far. Really having a blast with that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
also before
If
we get
anyone wants
into it,
to play,
I did
let
just
us know.
see a Spider Verse versus Venom verse series
Yeah,
right before I hopped on here. I don't just real quick by Matt Groom and Kyle coming out next year. So
yeah. And what are the
another
odds
series.
that
Yeah,
Spider Boy is gonna fight Kid Venom in that event? Like, what are the odds of
there's a
that
very good
happening?
chance.
Very high chance. Yeah, it's a very high chance. It's just, I'm very excited for that because I heard like they were talking about it in the Radiant Black Discord, and they were saying like they created a few original characters and variants for the book, and they're really excited for people to discover them, and that they really enjoyed writing the book, and they just had a good time, and that it's not a throwaway book. It's something they worked hard on, and they think is a solid read. So I'll check out the first issue of each one for sure. I'm
Yeah,
not a big like verse series guy because they do them so often, but with a creative team like this attached to it, I'll definitely give it a whirl. Um, we also got some updates for the just all the logistical things on the Massiverse, and I think the No One Classified Edition they said is going to ship out end of the month. The Inferno Go Red, we got another update. It got like a little bit pushed back, but the book is pretty much done, so that's really good. I'm looking forward to that. Massiverse card game has shipped. If you live anywhere outside of North America, you should have already gotten it, from what I understand, or it's already shipped. If you live in North America, aka US or Canada, they just sent the quartermaster thing where they're asking for your address to verify it. So they should be shipping very soon. Obviously, we're going to do a few streams about that. We're very excited. Newsletter is almost done. I'm just waiting on one submission from Matt, who has been really busy, and I'm assuming just swamped with work and life. So I'm just waiting for a submission from him before we complete it. In terms of the designs and internal things, I would say it's 85% done. just because when I put Matt's last submission in, I have to like design the pages to look nice. I can't just use the same design. Uh, well, most of us, we work on it together. So I'm very excited for that. And Radiant Black is on hiatus until February. Rogue Sun has one more issue this month, I think next week even. And then that series is going to be on hiatus until March 2025. So in terms of the Rogue Sun podcast, we're going to continue to review books by Ryan, and that includes Vicarious, which I think 3 issues are out so far. This is issue 2 review we're doing. And then we're going to do Atom Project, which Charlie suggested just before the stream, and I think it's a great idea. So we're going to be covering the Atom Project, which is a DC book, and Ryan Parrott's one of the writers on it, I think with John Ridley, and the art's by Mike Perkins. It's great. 6-issue mini, and it's about the 2 Atom characters like Ray Palmer and Ryan Choi. They're going to be with Captain Atom, the Nathaniel Captain Atom from the 80s. So very excited for that. So yeah, lots on the plate, and of course it's Christmas time. So yeah, we're gonna try to do. We were actually originally planning to do the trivia now, like around this time, but because it's really busy, I think we've decided just to do on 2025, probably in January, to be honest, sometime January for the new year. So we'll kick off the new year with an awesome Massiverse trivia. We're really excited. Everyone's bringing their A game. They're putting such good questions in. The team is having a blast, like working on it. I can't wait. I'm really excited. And we'll give everyone a good, healthy lead-in time. So we'll probably post it a week or 2 before the scheduled date that we'll promote that we're going to do it. And that way people know when it's going to be, and they can, if they want to come, they can, put it into their schedules.
Yeah.
I think that's everything, right?
Yeah, I believe no, I don't quote me on this, but I do remember I believe Noah said, or Owen said he was gonna let another person win it this time, or take the award at least. Even if he wins, maybe take the prize. So yeah, he's just no one can stop him in this. He's a
you may take his prize, but you're not gonna take his Radiant Black pride. I'll tell you that.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that, actually. Yeah. We're going to make it like less difficult in most senses, but we're going to have like rounds where the difficulty goes up. So some of the questions will be like later on really deep into it will be a little bit tough. And obviously the Catalyst War just ended. So we're going to bring a lot of questions from the Catalyst War era of Radiant Black. It's fresh, like good, rich new ground for us to mine in terms of questions. So very excited for that. And then last but not least, not really Massiverse related, but still a big deal. The DCU technically kicked off with the launch of Creature Commandos, which has been, in my opinion, a delight. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's been
fun. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's really funny too. But today we got the teaser of a teaser trailer. We got, which is funny. We got a 20 or 30-second teaser of the James Gunn Superman teaser trailer, which is going to drop tomorrow morning, I believe, like 10 a.m. Halifax time or 9 p.m. Eastern, or 9 a.m. Eastern. Sorry. So very, very excited for that. I literally put my alarm so I can wake up 15 minutes before it. Yeah, something like that. So very excited for that trailer. Looking forward to it. If you're a Superman fan, DC fan, or just like comic book movies, be on the lookout for that. It looks promising. So let's get into Vicarious number 2. This book is awesome. And if you don't know what this book is, it's here, let me pull up the solicit. It's a brand new book by Ryan Parrott. Well, not brand new. It's been 3 months old right now. But the cool thing about this book, beyond the book itself being a great book, is that it's actually all made by Massiverse alumni. Like everyone working on this book is someone who's worked on the Massiverse. And I found out that actually it seems like the editor is not Basuto for once. It's a different editor named Allison Gronowitz. So this was really interesting for me. So this is the solicit for issue 1. Enter Justin, an aimless 20-something desperate for human connection and excitement. After a dangerous encounter reveals itself as a fortuitous opportunity, Justin finds just what he's looking for in the secret world of proxies. Young, pretty, ambitious hustlers like himself who allow the rich access to their feelings and experiences through a technological implant. Does Justin have what it takes to make it in this seductive new world? New York Times bestselling and fan favorite Mighty Morphin Power Rangers writer Ryan Parrott debuts his first original comic. Oh, wow, that's cool. And is joined by acclaimed artist Eleonora Carlini for this brand new original sci-fi psychological thriller. That's a great description. That's a really well-written solicit, in my opinion. So yeah, we already reviewed issue 1. Had a fantastic time. And of course, covers by Dan Panosian, who, oh my God.
Killer, man.
Yeah. Killer. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I love this
yeah,
book.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to get your yeah. So obviously, yeah, you did love the
I
first
thought the
issue.
second issue
Obviously,
was
yeah.
better. Yeah.
Okay,
Than the second
okay.
issue. The first,
Yeah, I
I
just
thought the
wanted to
second
get
issue was
your
better.
overall thoughts, but yeah, it seems like you did really enjoy issue one as well.
Yeah. So let's pull up the cover here just so some you amazing folks have a nice visual supplement. So these are the covers we're talking about. All the cover A's are by Dan Panosian, and they are beautiful. Dan Panosian, in my opinion, one of the best cover artists of the year, and just a fantastic artist overall. There's the cover. I love it because the cover actually like is one of those series where the cover actually makes sense when you look at it. Like it's like it makes sense
Yeah.
in the story. Um, so yeah, this is the cover, and as you can see, Mattia Iacono also did the colors. You remember Mattia from Dead Lucky? He was the colorist, did such a wonderful job there. Eleanor Carlini, you remember her from the Radiant Black triptych covers we call them, but she did the Massiverse
Oh,
iconic
okay.
covers. Yeah, she did
Gotcha. Okay.
the
Okay.
you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Cool, cool, cool.
existence issue, the cover. Yeah, she did the same for Rogue Sun, and she did it for Dead Lucky, and she did it for IGR. Her covers are iconic. Many people, I think, say that they're the best of the best of the Massiverse as a set, up there with the Tom Whalen helmet covers, and I have to agree. So yeah, I love it. And Ryan Parrott, of course, co-creator of Rogue Sun, writer of Rogue Sun, um, writer of the Infernals, one of the writers of the Infernals with Noah Gardner. Just awesome books all around. Did Dead Day as well a while back, and like we said, he's got the Adam Project coming up. So yeah, awesome cover. I love this cover. Here's the creative again, just the creators for anyone who wants that. Oh yeah, and we said forgot to mention. Sorry, with assistance by Luca Mattioni for the coloring, and of course lettered by Becca Carey, who seems to be literally everywhere these days. I love her lettering in Absolute Superman because I mean she's lettering like Wonder Woman and Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Superman, but in Absolute Superman 2, there's a moment, there's a panel where Lois Lane, like the whole issue is kind of a retrospective where you're seeing it through the eyes of Lois, but she's narrating it from the entry she put into her diary or log or whatever it was. And there's a moment where she's talking about how Superman smells, and she's like, he smells like oak barrels that have been like, like fresh for like years or whatever, something like that, or like a burgundy. And like she was like, he smells amazing. And like she underlined amazing, kind of like if you think about the Hangman game, you know how they have each line and then you
Yeah,
have to guess the
yeah,
letters. She underlined the word like that, and it really emphasized the word. And I was like, that's so like clever. I love it. It really made it like made you understand the point at that moment. So man, Becca's so good. Becca, like I even saw, I forget who it was, a creator or someone on Twitter, just some random Twitter user the other day, like a couple of weeks ago, tweeted about how like we need to appreciate Becca Carey more as a creator, and I agree. I mean, we've always appreciated her on this podcast, on the Radiant Black podcast. We talk about her nonstop, but it's always nice to hear and see more people enjoying that work. So yeah, I love Becca Carey. Yeah, so we got covered by Dan Panosian and variant covers by Tony Infante, Dan Panosian, and Dan Panosian did another cover. That's amazing. And Alex
yes.
Ekman Lawn, who actually did a freaking incredible Plastic Man variant this week. One of the scariest covers I've seen in a long time. And it's freaking Plastic Man. Sorry about that. So yeah, let's talk about this book. So we pick up from last issue, right where we left off. Last issue, we find out, yeah, like Justin becomes a proxy. He becomes a proxy from saving this guy Christian. This guy Christian's clearly well connected, wealthy, and is clearly a proxy himself. He gives Justin a card in the first issue saying that if you want to get an implant, just call this card, go to the guy, he'll hook you up. I don't do this for anyone, blah blah blah. So that's what Justin ends up doing. He's kind of getting his feet wet in the whole proxy life. And in this issue, that's where we pick up. He's actually eating all this food at a restaurant, but he's not doing it for himself. He's doing it for the linker that's linking to him. So the linkers are what you call the people who use the proxies. So yeah, he's eating all this amazing food. He's at a restaurant. He's stuffing his face with pancakes, with pizzas, and like it's not just like one pizza. He's like all these different slices. So the guy's like, "Oh, after that, can you try the sage white truffle and mushroom?" Which sounds divine, by the way. And he's eating burgers, and then he's eating tacos, then he's eating. And the waitress shows up and she asks him a funny question. She's like, "I hate to ask this, but did you save room for dessert?" And he's like, "That is a great question. Did we?" And he's like, "Whatever. There's worse ways to go. let's get 3 of your best pie slices. And I just thought that was so funny. And it reminded me like the next scene, and then you can tell he's full on that page. And the next scene, he's in the proxy purge, which is another word for the bathroom, and he's just throwing up all the food he ate. And I thought that reminded me so much of Hunger Games, of like how the people like eat their stuff and then just throw it up. It's just like
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit brutal. Yeah, what did you think of that?
Man, yeah, you can really tell like how desperate he's getting to just like retain these viewers. We saw kind of in the first issue he it took a long time. Like he had a lot of people kind of hop in, hop out. Like he couldn't retain any viewers or anything. And me and Ali kind of thought like it compared a little bit to like this day of streaming. Like a lot of people who just like
Yes,
watch these streamers
yes,
all day and they like to live events
yes,
through the crazy shit they do and all this
yes,
and I was laughing that like right when you like I don't know if you used to stream at all but I remember
yes.
like streaming a little bit when I was younger and hopping on and you get someone in the chat and like you want them to stay
You get
so
so
bad
excited.
but then
Yeah,
they ended up just like fucking off to like a bigger person. So yeah, these kind of
yeah,
comparisons are just yeah, super fun.
yeah.
Sorry.
Uh,
But yeah,
That's
he's
okay.
he's really really just desperate here, and you can tell how much. So yeah, I'm curious about the physical effects he's gonna get. Is he gonna gain some weight here? Or, what's he gonna go through? But yeah, it's not starting out too great in issue 2. You can tell the lengths he's going, and also
Yeah,
it does seem they haven't released any issue anything past like preview of issue 5 and kind of reading the solicit for that, it does maybe seem like issue 5 could be the ending, either of the arc
yeah,
but of the issue, which
yeah. I think it's
what
5 or 6 total. Yeah,
yeah, so I hope we get more, but it could just be this kind of cool story exploring this great idea, which is yeah, it's a super cool concept and everything. But yeah, I've been and me and Ali, we really talked it over about this whole theory about and I know we talked about it a little bit, but so when we go back to the hotel, we see the landlord finally taking money from Justin, and the biggest question I had was why did the landlord not know? Like he just thought he was Justin's friend. Like why did he not think this was Justin? Where at the beginning of the issue he kind of seemed to know that. So yeah, it's kind of just keeps going through that here. So yeah, he's still posing as Justin's friend here. That's
yeah,
just kind of taking his place. And the best theory, the thing that made most sense was Ali. His kind of whole theory, and I think it's going to be true, is that Justin before the series, like he ended up killing the real Justin. That's who's in the tub of the end of last
hmm,
issue, and he's been posing as this Justin for some reason. So
yes,
I'm really excited to get that whole backstory. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy so far. But yeah, he's doing well with the money. He's able to pay his rent now, so that's pretty
uh,
sweet.
very greasy landlord who was like, "Oh, I'll give you my parking spot for an extra 50 bucks."
Oh
I
yeah,
thought,
yeah. He
I think
just
you
wants
hit the
money.
nail on the head with the streaming thing. Like, yeah, I think the story is really about like the parasocial nature of like streaming, but at the same time, I get a little bit of like Hollywood vibes in terms of how everyone's kind of out for themselves and they
Yeah.
kind of like lie to your face. It's all about like getting what they want, about how they can push their brand, and we'll see more of that later. Like, but I think you hit the nail on the head with that, and yeah, like we see here in outside San Francisco, we see in the next thing because he has a shovel and he's burying the body in the woods, the body of the kid that he killed that actually owns the apartment, the one he's posing as a friend of, but
Yes.
I don't think he's actually really his friend. But that's where he gets a call, all right? And it's very interesting because it's like it's pretty shit timing to get a call. But dude has the thing always on, which I find hilarious. He's always hustling, and that's another thing about like the Hollywood nature of it all, streaming, both actually, is that people are always hustling in that kind of lifestyle. They're
Hmm.
always hustling. So here he's hustling. He's still got his thing on, presumably to link up with other people who want a proxy. But he gets a call from someone named Chartreuse, and she's personally been instructed to invite him to the sinful party. Sinful spelled Synnful, That'll be important later down the line. So he's just wondering, like, oh, okay, like what the hell? Like, who's inviting me to this party? And then he's like, oh, it's Christian Gold, isn't it? And Christian Gold is the guy that we mentioned earlier. He rescued in the first issue, who ended up giving him the card that linked him up with the person who put the implant in him. So the person on the phone, the secretary, says, no, like, just settle down. I was given three names. You were one of them. Make sure you come and wear something nice. And then we get a really cool montage, I think, where you get to see Eleanor Carlini kind of stretch her muscles and really show off what she's good at. She's really good at designing these clothes. I like the outfits that she gives them. They're all kind of bougie, different aesthetics.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ends up getting really excited. He can't believe it, and we go to this party again. A little bit of Hunger Games vibe in the sense that
I also,
it's super.
yeah, I also real quick did like the scene where he's changing all the time, because we
Yeah,
we do know, like we're under this impression, or I guess we're not under this impression, but he wants to carry himself as someone who's very confident for his viewers and all this, but kind of as he says later to sin, which we'll meet later, is that all these linkers are, in his opinion, are just people who hate being themselves, so they like pretending to be other people. And I think this montage just really shows how he himself is a lot like this as well. And these proxies and linkers are a lot more similar than I think they completely realize.
yeah, that's a really good point, and I think that that's part of it is like there's this glamorous like vibe to the party, but like there's also like a weird like fakeness to it, and you'll see what I mean because right, like all these people
Very
are
much.
talking. Yeah, they're all talking about work, and it's just like I get it. Like for a lot of them, this is work, but I kind of like it. Just feels like they're all so far up their own ass, and I think Ryan Parrott's trying to tell us something about these kinds of scenes and the kinds of people involved in these kinds of things. Like all these people care about is like higher view numbers or having more followers or whatever, and you kind of see that in the first interaction, right? So like there's a joke about am I the only one who has bandwidth issues during sex? That's funny. But once Justin shows up to the party, he's approached by this cute girl, right? And she's like, oh, dressed up nice. And she's like, you look a little lost. And he says, oh, do I? Well, hi. I'm still pretty new at this. And she says, it's all about numbers, expanding, branding, bombs away, baby. That's my catchphrase. You should really have one. Like, take your link to the brink. You can have that one. Like, as if she's doing him a favor, but like it's also everything she's saying feels rehearsed, like it's like she has a script, it's like scripted. And then he says thanks, and she says you're sweet, if you ever need a double, let's link, here are my deets. And she touches him, and I thought this was really cool. She touches
Yeah.
him, and like the software just uploads the information into him, which
Yeah.
I thought was really cool. But here's the funny part. He says, did you want my name? So Justin's a lot more genuine still. Like he's going into this fake ass world of like being a performer, but he's still like a relatively genuine person. And like Charlie mentioned earlier, like he's about the lies thing and how he wants to, read between the lines kind of thing. She says right after he asks if she wants his name, she literally moves on to the next person. She's like, "Hey there, handsome, you okay? You look a little lost." So it's literally a script. she's
Says the
she's just
exact same
doing this
thing.
to link up with everyone. Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
I've seen this
super
so many
super
times.
funny.
Yeah, you see this a lot, like university orientations or like frat or like frat
Yeah.
things, like frat
Yeah.
week or things like that. You see people just go up to everyone, just say the same thing, just to get you
That's
to
so
like them.
true. That's so true.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So
I love the designs here too, like the girl's dress and
yeah,
all these costumes at this party really are awesome. This issue is
yeah.
also like setting up so many new rules to what these proxies can really do. Like you said, like tapping at the chest, like kind of just transferring information like that. But also one thing I did really like, and I should have expected, but I didn't really, is that I assumed at first it's kind of like one linker could kind of be like transferred to one proxy, but it does really seem like this girl has many, like could be hundreds of different linkers at the same time, like linked up to her, so, and are feeling, doing everything that she does. So I think that's kind of a cool concept too.
Oh, definitely. And I really like the way that Ryan and everyone else approach the idea of branding. It literally branding your body, literally. Like this dude
So
approaches
funny.
yeah, like you have this like rep from a company called Trinity Champagne, and he comes up to Justin and he's like, look, like a 3-inch burn-in Trinity logo in the bottom corner. Like you'll hardly notice it. You'll get all this money. And then he's like, I don't think, my clients want commercials in their feeds. And he's like, okay, but like we can offer you sponsorship opportunities, a weekend trip to an exclusive vineyard, access to vague hottest club in San Francisco. And I was like, man, this reminds me so much of like Twitch streamers. like it reminds me a lot of being like a social media influencer or Twitch streamer,
100%.
something like that. When you're like really big, like people just chase you and tell you like, oh, can you sponsor this? Like, can you just do it like this? Like, we'll give you whatever you want. And I thought it was gross. And it's really funny. He's pouring the champagne. Like he's using like he's doing all the tricks, like making his move. But and at the end, I think the funniest thing is after they toast with the champagne in hand, he literally brings out this T-shirt. And he's like, "Care for a T-shirt?" He has swag with him in the club, bro. It's just like that's such a like turn off.
This guy's on the
party.
script too, right? Yeah, for sure. He's
100%,
doing the same thing to
yeah.
everyone, like you said. It's super funny. It's super funny, and I do love the all these comparisons to streaming. I'd love to talk to Ryan about this book and pick his brain about some of the concepts and stuff.
I agree, and we get what seems to be an important character in the next page. We get this guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, William Lydecker. Lydecker. Yeah, I have no idea if it's Ly or Lydecker, but William. And he seems to be almost like these guys are like a lot more on the left. They're a lot more like liberal, free-minded. This guy seems to be more like conservative in the sense that like he wants like very right-wing. He wants to kind of take everything back to pre-proxy era. He thinks that they're poison in terms of poisoning the soul, poisoning the mind. He literally says an entire generation is being preyed upon by sexual deviants watching from the shadows. And I think like based on what we've learned so far in the series, there are like kernels of truth to what he's saying, but I think he's blowing it out of proportion and kind of like manipulating people to see his point of view. But I thought this was a very, very interesting character because it clearly looks like it's going to be a player who is going to be important down the line, like show up in the book, or even if he doesn't show up, just what his rhetoric is going to be important in terms of how the characters navigate that kind of social space. And we've seen in the first issue, right, that this is a very real prevalent belief within this universe because Christian Gold in the first issue is getting his ass whooped by two people who hate proxies and was calling him like a whore. They were calling him a whore and they're saying he's like, you sell your body, you have no respect. So like this is a very prevalent like mindset in these areas. It seems to be like there's two different mindsets, which is one that thinks proxies are okay, and then others that seem to think this is gross and a perversion of the implant technology. So I thought that was really cool. And he even says, I pledge to drag. He just got elected governor, and he pledges to drag every individual in that deplorable industry out into the light. And I think it's really funny because someone then yells, "Boo! Put on baby billionaires instead," which I thought was really funny. It's like so random, but that's where we get back to Christian Gold. We actually see him at this party, and this is an important moment because this one shocked me. I didn't expect this to go the way it did, but we see Christian like talking up some babes. They have the typical like surface level just bullshit talking, where the girls are like, "Oh, this party like sucks," and he's just like, "Oh, the party's dead. Look, even that rep from the like that idiot rep from the champagne is here, right? Like Trinity, like wow, what a downer, blah blah blah." And that's where Justin Justin walks in and he's like, "Hey man, it's Justin, it's Killer Party, right?" And that's where he's like, "Oh yeah, long time no see." And that's where Justin is like, they're like, "Yeah," the girl's like, "Oh my God, you actually know this loser?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, like Christian got attacked a few weeks ago and I was helping him." And then Christian just gets up all of a sudden, interrupts the conversation. It's like, "Oh yeah, when we like kick those guys' asses," almost like saving face in front of these people, right? Sure. And I think these next two pages, we learn exactly what kind of person Christian is. Like right away, he's a dick. Like he's this big like.
Might be the worst of them all. Yeah, worst of them all. We talk about how fake these people are, but he might be up there. I also realize, and I didn't think of it till this point, but I'm curious, why are these people green? Like, why is there so many green people?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I'm just like, are they aliens or are they? Yeah, I don't think they're alien. I think it's part of the whole like embracing like the future looking different, but like you make a good point. Like a lot of them are green. I'm trying to see if there's other colored people. That's weird.
I'm
Maybe,
curious. Yeah,
maybe,
maybe it goes into the story, like when they become these
yeah,
unicorns, or when they become like, I don't know, more enslaved by this character we meet later. Maybe this is a weird effect. Who knows? But yeah, I actually just kind of noticed that now. But yeah, yeah, Christian,
yeah,
man, he's a piece of shit, big time.
yeah. He literally, yeah. So he pulls Justin aside, and they're talking outside, and he's like, Justin's like, I just want to say thanks for the implant. Like, I became a proxy. It's kind of changed my life. And the guy laughs and he says, I've given that card out, God, to 2 dozen times, and I never thought anyone would be dumb enough to actually use it. And then he says, and this is the most important one. He says, Justin, in very straight face, Justin, you should know this is my livelihood. You and me, we ain't friends. You're nothing but competition. So if you try to take any of my linkers, I promise I will end you. It's just like Jesus Christ. He went from hero to zero real fast, like
Yeah,
real
yeah.
fast. Yeah.
Part of me wonders like why he would give out these cards when he doesn't want this competition this bad. But also the point I laughed at is like what you said earlier is that like Christian, the first time you said him, he's like, man, I never do this for people, but yeah, go, you can get this implant and you can give this card. Like it was such like a big thing for him, but now he's saying, oh yeah, I've done it 2,000 times. I didn't think anyone was gonna be stupid
Yeah.
enough to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this guy is just super two
Yeah.
faced, and
Yeah.
probably I could see being, or I don't know, this lady we meet later does seem like a big villain of the series, but this guy doesn't seem far
This is
off.
Ryan's Braden. That's what he is. It's Ryan's
Yes,
Braden. Right? He's worse than Braden, I
he's
would argue, because
worse, man. Yeah, he's
Braden
definitely
was pretty
worse.
straight up about being a piece of shit. Like Braden was like fully transparent about being like a Chad. This guy is just like two faced as fuck.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
not a
yeah. Braden
fan.
wasn't two faced. He was just kind of
Yeah.
stupid, like
Just a douchebag. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he was like straight up about being a douchebag too. He's just like,
yep.
I'm after your girl, bro. Like, do what it's gonna be, Like I'm using you to sign this thing. What is it gonna be? Whereas this guy is like playing like, just being the person that people want him to be at that moment. Like he strikes me as that kind of person. And yeah, like I think credit to Ryan Parrott and his writing. I love when writing makes you feel something. Like even if you hate the character, I think that's still good writing. If a writer is writing a character that upsets you so much that you hate them in a good way, not like they bastardize a version of a character that you already like and they just ruin that. That's different. But like Ryan made me feel something in this issue, not just towards Christian, but in general. But like even towards Christian, and I think that's good writing, good character work.
Yeah.
So awesome stuff from the writing from Ryan, and the art's fantastic. I really love just the emphasis on design, like Charlie was saying. Like the city looks very unique, very beautiful. You feel situated in this lived-in universe. It really feels like its own thing. It doesn't feel like something you've seen
Yeah,
before, or if it does, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
that was a big question we had, is like, and I don't know if you have a thought on this, but like, is this just like a different sort of reality, or they're not very specific at all, like what year this is, or is this just like kind of
Yeah,
very far in the future of where we are?
yeah. Yeah. I think it's like a little bit futuristic, I want to say. Like at least a
Yeah.
few years in the future, just based on the cityscape
They
and
did have
how it
flying
like
cars,
yeah,
and yeah, they do have like floating
yeah.
billboards and stuff. So, yeah,
It's
but
very
no,
cyberpunky, right?
yes,
Yeah,
very
like
very much so.
yeah. So yeah, he's just sitting out there after Christian leaves him. Justin continues to stay out there, just admiring the city view, kind of contemplating things. And he kind of looks out into the distance, and that's when we're introduced to another character. She comes up abruptly and asks him if he thinks he's jumping, or if he's thinking of jumping. Sorry. And then she says, "Because if you are, I have a few clients who would pay a lot of money for the ride, for the chance to ride along." And that's what I mean about good writing. Like immediately, you know what this person's about. Just literally
Yeah.
2 lines, and you know what this person is
That
like. And I
shit's
think that's
dark,
great.
man. That's dark.
I know.
Yeah, just shows like what they use, what like, yeah, the possibilities they could do for this stuff. And that guy earlier, like that the councilman, like I don't know, I kind of agree with him on a lot of things. Like yeah, if kids can kind of get involved with this stuff, it does seem kind of more like an expensive endeavor to get into. But like yeah, they see a lot of
Yeah,
people doing this, and yeah, kids will want to be proxies as well. And I
yeah.
don't think that could be a good ending
I mean,
whatsoever.
you think about like kids and parents using like parental control to control like
Yep,
devices or
yep.
televisions or things to keep you from seeing things that you probably shouldn't see until you're old enough. And then you think about like how kids could link up in this universe to like adults and do wrong things.
Crazy shit.
Just like,
Takes that to
yeah,
another level.
another
Another level,
level,
100%.
exactly. And it's because it's a lived experience in that sense. Even if you're not living it directly, you're still sharing it with the person who's living it, so that makes it still a shared experience, and that's kind of creepy. And then there is a mention later on of human trafficking and like pimping out what do you call it, proxy pimping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that
Yeah.
later. But this seems like an important character as well, and I believe she's on one of the covers of the next issue. I'm assuming it's
Yeah,
her.
she was also on the variant cover of the first issue. She was on a variant cover
Oh
of the
yeah.
first issue with Christian Gold. So that was kind of the first appearance of that.
Oh.
Also
Ooh.
one thing I do find interesting is that everyone at this party, it was kind of mentioned at the beginning, is there's no linking involved during this party. I guess it's such an exclusive thing. No one, like, they really don't want anyone to see what's going on. And the one big thing that Ali actually did point out is that when you're actually linking with someone, that's when these tattoos are glowing. That's kind of like a visual
Mm.
indicator of when you're linking and when you're not. And when you meet this girl Sylvia, like, her tattoos are glowing right away. Like, she's always glowing.
Yeah.
So she's
She's
yeah,
also
she's
like the operator, right? She mentions that she's the person who links everyone with someone.
yes,
Like she's the
yes,
person that sets up that party. Yeah.
that party, yes, that's true. So
Yeah.
yeah, she's very fishy. She's got like
Yeah.
one
Very
crazy eye, like
sketchy.
one orange eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, she has
Yeah.
such a cool look.
She does. And her name is Sin. So we find out the sinful party is actually named after her. So this is her party. She's the
Yeah,
one that sent the invite to Justin. Um, and she just tells him, like, stay out here as long as you want. Her name is Sylvia Sin, and she's what she calls an encounter liaison. So she connects every person that you see in when you're proxying. And she says, I arrange special encounters between ambitious young proxies and wealthy, open minded clients. That already sounds kind of sus, I'm not going to lie. And then she says, for a small percentage, of course. I love how everyone in this book is greasy as fuck. Like, everyone is not, it's like super open about the fact that they worship money or views or whatever. Like, this full on LA mode right here. So, he says, I'm neither of those things. And then she says, she's trying to like size him up basically. And she says, your new links are high, but your retention rate is even higher, meaning one of two things. Either you're a short term fraud or using rich friends to prop up your activity, or you're something special. So she's clearly interested in him.
yeah,
So she has this thing called unicorns. And what unicorns are really special proxies who are like really good at satisfying their
yeah. It
clients.
seems like
They
she
get
tries to
high end
groom these
clients.
people
Yes,
into these unicorns, which
unicorns.
is yeah, which is
Yes,
very sketchy as well. Also, one thing I did find
yes.
really interesting is Sylvia did say the tech who like put your implant in, he slipped me all your numbers, all your data, and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So there seems like a lot of
So maybe
stuff
he's a
that, yeah, people
trafficker.
don't know.
Actually, oh my God, now that you
Yeah,
point that out and they mentioned the trafficking at the end, he must be a trafficker in that case.
this is a
Like,
whole,
literally.
yeah.
Then now it makes me think Christian Gold is the person who goes out there to recruit these people so that they can traffic and control them to bring them money and clients. Now that I think about it, like now that I'm really thinking about it,
Yeah.
that would make a lot of sense, especially since the tech slipped her the numbers. Like, why would he do that? She paid him. That's why. You would
Yeah,
never just do that out of your own
that's
like
true.
free will.
That's
Like,
true.
you'd have to have an incentive, right? So she either paid him or he works for her. Either way, it's concerning. Wow, that's a good observation. Okay, so now we're starting to see the pieces here. So yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks for Justin because he seems like a relatively genuine person, even though
He's a
he's pretty
murderer,
sketchy
but
himself.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
he's a
exactly,
murderer,
exactly.
but that just shows how greasy this book is. He seems like the most, like, the
He has
best
like
person,
serial
and
killer vibes. You know what I
he
mean? Like,
does.
he always has like the right words to say. And he knows how to like gain people's trust and shit. He's creepy, man. Everyone's creepy in this book. But yeah, so and he kind of gives her a really interesting insight, sorry, into him where he says, honestly, I don't know anything. I just think most people are unhappy with who they are and like pretending to be someone else. It's funny. Most clients will tell you anything except what they really want, and proxies love to be anyone except who they actually are. However, if you listen closely to both, there's always a bit of truth in the lies. I think he's talking about himself and about others in that moment.
100%,
I really do.
for sure.
Yeah. So that's where he asks Sin, and she tells him about the unicorns and that she can, make him rich and that they'll both get taken care of. And that's where he asks her, "Do you think I can be a unicorn?" And she says, "With training, maybe, but not the way you are right now. You're too raw." So yeah, that's where he gets he leaves and he gets sent on his first link with through Sin, directly through Sin, like as in she recommended this link
Okay,
because we
that's what
know
I
she's
was
the
wondering. That's
operator.
what I was
Yeah,
wondering.
yeah, yeah,
Was this a
yeah, yeah,
former client he had? But yeah, it does
yeah.
transition really like that.
And that's what this is where we thought like what this book would be about in terms of how people use linking. He's dressed real nice and he's being hired by a man named Alan to go have sex with his girlfriend, who for whatever reason Alan can't be around. I'm assuming he's sick or something. I think he mentions it. So they're using the proxy of Justin to kind of feel something between the two, this couple presumably, and that's where he
Or
shows up
actually,
and
it
there's
is
this.
his first time. Or he says, Alan just says, "I want our first time to be perfect." He says, and then he
Okay.
that yeah. So maybe he's just trying to link like hook up with this girl first, and then I don't know, just kind of get to know her in a different sense, and then get to meet her a different way. But yeah, this whole situation's super creepy, super
Yeah.
creepy.
So yeah, he shows up to the door. There's this pretty blonde woman with glasses. She's she expects him, so she's like, "Oh, you must be Amon," and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm Amon, and that's all you need to know." And then she says, "No, Al." She's like, "Did you have trouble finding him?" He's like, "No, Alan led me here fine." That's where she's surprised. She's like, "Oh wow, he's already watching. Like he can already see me right now." And then he's like, "Yes," and you could tell Alan's like super horny and excited, so he's kind of like talking really fast, and it's hard because both the couple are really excited to be together, but they're kind of talking at the same time, and he's kind of struggling to mediate between the two, and they're starting to freak out because Alan's like, "Please go hold her. I really want you to hold her," and he starts to hold her, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can smell her. Like she feels so good." That's where the woman starts to freak out a little bit, and she's just like, "I don't know if I can do this." Ilyana, that's her name. She's like, Ilyana's like, "I don't know if I can do this. This is just weird." And then that's where he kind of steps in, and he uses that finesse that he has, kind of what we were talking about earlier, how he's a likable person. He knows what to say to get people. He's a good influencer. Right? He knows what to say to get people to just see his way. So he's telling them like, "Look, like don't let me get in the way of your love. You guys are here to celebrate your relationship, your love together. Just do it through me. Don't
I'm
like pretend
just a
like I'm not
vessel.
here." Yeah, exactly. It's just a so they start to make love and they have sex, and it seems like he made his client happy because that's where Sin tells him on the phone they loved you. Alan and Eliana already called to try and book you again as soon as possible. He says, "I just need a few days to recover, recuperate." And then she says, "I've got a dozen new linkers I want to show you off to Amon." And that's where she asks him, "Can you play polo?" And I thought it was so funny. He's like, "Water or horse?" And then she's like, "Both." And he's like, "Nope, but I'm a fast learner." So I thought that was really funny. But this is where we get an introduction of another really cool character. I thought this was a really cool moment. Lots of good characters in this issue.
Yeah.
And I will say an issue that introduced so many characters, and did a lot of world building, which seems to be the Parrot special. Um, there's never been like a pacing disruption. The pacing is very smooth. It flows very nicely. I love that about this book. It feels really well paced. I think that's very important for a book like this because if the pacing is off, it's hard to make it feel like it makes sense. It'd be a little bit more
Yeah.
difficult. You get lost in the details, but the pacing is so good, both from a visual
Yeah.
perspective and from the writing. So we get introduced to Detective Charles Nance, who almost has like a Miami Vice look to him. Everyone's good looking in this universe. Like not only like good looking, but they have this like amazing sense of fashion and style apparently. So
That's so true.
it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so he's just like, this
Except
dude
the
just makes
landlord.
himself at home.
Except the
Oh yeah,
landlord.
yeah. No, that was your typical dipshit right there for an extra $50. Uh, but yeah, this dude just makes himself at home, right? He like walks right in, like this, like Justin's at the door. He's like, "I'm about to leave," and he's in his bathrobe. This dude's just like, just walks right in. He's like, "You got a roommate?" And then he's like, "Okay, well, like, what?" You just asked him, "What did I do?" He's like, "You went to this party at the Elysium Hotel. You met Sylvia Sin, nice implant," and that's where he's like, "Oh, that's for my epilepsy. Is it illegal to own a neurological implant in this country?" And that's where the detective Nance notices that, okay, like you're trained clearly, like she clearly told you what to reply, and you got that shit down good. And he's like, "Look, it's okay. Like I'm not here for you. I'm after your boss." And that's where he starts to drop important lines. And this one really fascinated me. He said, "Ask her about the implant farms or the alley walkers who stumble around drooling because they had their brains hardjacked." And that makes me think there's people illegally trying to hack
Yeah.
into these people's brains. And it makes me think, is that like the governor's people? Are they like underground trying to like like it's
I
do a little shit
what
disturbing?
I think what that could be now is, so at the beginning of the book they do say for sure is like you can feel what they like, you can feel, taste, like do all this stuff as a proxy, but you can't be controlled. Now I think when it comes to Sylvia, I think she slowly and slowly, as she starts grooming them, and maybe it gets like they get less popular, they get worn out, like their bodies literally get worn out. Maybe at that point is where Sylvia can hijack their brain somehow and just kind of leave them in the alleys hijack, because yeah, they do seem like very just like, yeah, just druggy people, like prostitutes or something, who are just on like hard drugs, who are just out in the alley because like yeah, they have nothing else better to do, I guess. But yeah, Sylvia, I think, does have a big hand in this for sure, and I think she's gonna gain the ability slowly and slowly to hijack her clients' brains. That's the way I see it, I think.
Oof. That's an interesting theory. I'm very excited to see where that goes. I think maybe you're onto something. But yeah, like Sylvia's creepy. I'm not gonna lie. Like just scares the
Yeah.
shit out of me. And then she says so there's a lot. He's dropping a lot of important things. So he says the hard jack. Then he says she put you on the black links yet, or maybe call you a unicorn. And I think that's where Justin starts to kind of feel sussed out because he's like, okay,
Uh
what's
oh.
going on? Yeah. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then he's like, you will sooner or later. I'm gonna keep an eye on you. And he says, this line was amazing. He says, thanks for the chat. I know you have to get somewhere soon in your bathrobe. It's just like the best fuck you before he leaves. And that's where like Justin's kind of like, you could tell he's contemplating everything that just happened. He's a little bit shaken. And he looks in the bathroom, which is where the detective like kind of peeked into right before he left, and he notices that there's still a bit of blood on the floor. So that's where it ends. That's where the issue ends. I gotta say, I love this. I love this issue. I really did. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was just a little bit better than the first issue, which was also fantastic. So I feel like the a lot of issues have a sophomore slump where they could be good but not as good as the first issue, or they kind of
Yeah.
meander between like setting up the rest of the plot for future
Hmm.
issues, kind of taking on the burden of like giving you the meaty stuff before they go into the exciting stuff. I don't think this issue did that. I think this issue picked up the momentum right where issue one left it and just continued soaring up there. I'm really invested. Like the first issue, I was thinking about it a little bit, but it was more from a concept point of view. I was like, this is a cool concept. I'm very curious to see where it goes. But after reading this issue, I'm just very invested. I'm like, oh my god, like these characters, they're interesting. It reminds me a lot of like, in the sense of how we were emotionally invested after reading the first two issues of Infernals. Like once
Yeah,
they get
I was
the
just gonna
yeah
say that. Yeah,
yeah
no, perfect comparison. I guess
yeah
Ryan's just super good at this, like, and I hope it goes longer, but it seems like he's good at this like length of series too. Rogue Sun was like
yeah
this too, but really just getting you into the world quick so you can stay invested, kind of as long as possible for sure. But yeah, these characters, these designs are killer, and like you said, yeah, the Dead Lucky colorist is
yeah
killing it too. Like
killing
that
it.
that
Yeah,
yeah,
I love the
definitely
aesthetic
helps
of the
big.
book. It
Yeah.
has like a weird grit to it. Like I don't know how to explain it.
I tried to
When they
compare it to
described it,
something, but I can't. Yeah,
yeah,
I really
you can,
can't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I can think of that it's kind of like, but not like, it reminds me visually, and this is a movie, but I feel like they're trying to emulate that, like Blade Runner 2049. Like it
Yeah.
has a bit
Okay.
of that feel to it, where there's like the city is very futuristic. There's a lot of bright colors. There's a lot of technology. There's a lot of like people who look a little different but still look like people. But in terms of a book, I feel like I've not quite read a book like this. Like it reminds me a little. The aesthetic reminds me just a little bit of Seven Secrets in terms of the way that people are drawn and things like that. But
Okay.
the
Yeah,
story
that's
is
fair.
so out there in terms of the setting and how different it is. I like it. It feels unique. I also love the designs of like the tattoos and everything. I like they kind of glow when they're using it and everything, all that. I thought that's a really cool touch. So I like how the implants are also like a centerpiece. So like you can see the implants like visibly on most people. I think that's really cool.
And the tattoos,
So yeah,
the one kind of weird, I wouldn't say con, but kind of thing I thought in the first issue that was a little bit silly is that, and maybe they're not trying to hide it, but if these like if these proxies are so like illegal and stuff, like I don't think it's probably a great idea to like put tattoos and like this flashy stuff on every single proxy. It does seem like a lot of people have them, but it also does seem like an easy way to like pick out who's a proxy and who's not. But still, they are really cool designs. And I did notice too, and which was kind of weird, is he does have this star tattoo, like even
Yeah,
before he
on his
became a
face.
proxy. I'm not sure what
Yeah,
that's all about, but I'm really curious to get a
yeah,
backstory. Do you think
me
we could get
too.
that next issue, or is Ryan gonna wait longer?
I don't know because the next issue is already out. I haven't read it yet, but
Me
it's
neither.
already out. Like
Okay,
issue,
I might read
yeah,
it right
issue
after this.
three. Issue three is already. Yeah, I might read it right after issue three, or maybe just tonight. Issue three is already out. So if anyone's really excited, we'll probably review it like either this week or very early
Soon.
next week. We'll review it very soon. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
It's quick. It's a nice quick review. It's fun and it's a good break in between Rogue Sun issues. But yeah, Vicarious, I highly recommend it. Ryan Parrott doesn't miss. Love seeing the other Massiverse artists come back and do another book with the Massiverse writer. It's nice. It's just nice to see like a Massiverse team working on something else. It's really cool. It's really cool to see them do something that's not tethered to that universe where they could really just do whatever they want and create this all like this visual language, this visual world, and immerse you in it. So I'm pretty immersed. I could see this also just being a movie, to be honest, or like a
Yeah.
mini series because it just works really well. The concept's really strong. It's almost like a Black Mirror episode, honestly. It feels like
Yes.
a Black Mirror episode. Yeah, and I mean that as a compliment. Like that
Yes.
show's incredible. So yeah, I'm very excited. Can't wait to read the next issue. Charlie, any final thoughts before we end here?
Think I got it all out. But yeah, no, it was a great issue. I'm definitely excited to read issue 3 and see how deep we get into it next issue. I was surprised kind of how much more we learned from just the second issue compared to the first. So who knows what's gonna happen in that third issue? But yeah, can't wait to dive in and talk to you guys about that, and hopefully we can get the whole crew back on the next episode.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm very excited to hear what their thoughts were and how they're enjoying the story. But yeah, that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. We had a blast talking about Vicarious. Always excited to talk about a new Ryan Parrott book on the Rogue Sun podcast. And join us again next week for the Rogue Sun number 24, the last issue before the hiatus. And it will return in March 2025. And join us again. Probably next week, we'll also do Vicarious number 3. So there's still a lot to look forward to on the show. And we'll see you next time, everyone. Stay warm and go rogue.